Nirmala, the YouTube link will be given?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just working on that. I'll send it across.
Anis, ready-யா? இப்பவே vote of thanks படிச்சீங்க போல இருக்கு.
Ready, ma'am. சொல்லிட்டீங்களா படிச்சிருவேன் ma'am.
You're live on YouTube now. Yes, ma'am. I'm just working on it. I'm sending it across, ma'am.
Thank you, Nirmala.
Thanks, ma'am.
Rabia has again unmuted herself.
But I think she will be alert only, ma'am, because we have told a couple of times.
Ma'am, the YouTube link is already sent in the group.
Yeah, thank you.
Done, ma'am. Thanks.
Vote இருக்கு.
Can you please start with the announcements?
Yes, ma'am. So good day to all of you connected here. A few announcements before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box. We will take it up at the end of the session. Feedback form link will be posted daily in the chat box towards the end of the session. kindly fill up on all the 7 days to get the e-certificate. Please connect with your earphone hands-free for better audibility.
Are you there?
Ms. Rabia of 2nd BCom Corporate Secretaryship, kindly unmute your video and be ready. Unmute your audio and be ready.
Hello.
Preeti, it's 5. Please start.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody's raising hand. Ramachandra Iyer.
Ma'am, I'll find out, ma'am. Preeti, start.
Yes, ma'am. Once again, good day, and we are delighted to welcome you to the 5th day of the 7-day International Faculty Development Program on Leadership Excellence. The session for the day is on Leadership Excellence, Past, Present, and Future by Dr. Kalindi Kale. Let us begin the session with a prayer. I now request Ms. Rabia of 2nd BCom Corporate Secretaryship to recite the prayer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Surah Ad-Duha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. Translation. I seek refuge with Allah from the accursed shaitan. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious. By the morning darkness and by the night when it covers with darkness, your Lord has taken leave of you, O Muhammad, nor has he detested you. And the hereafter is better for you than the first life. And your Lord is going to give you, and you will be satisfied. Did he not find you an orphan and give you refuge? And he found you lost and guided you, and he found you poor and made you self-sufficient. So as for the orphan, do not oppress him, and for the petitioner, do not repel him. But as for the favor of your Lord, report it. God has spoken the truth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Rabia. To introduce the speaker to you all, I request Mr. Kanya, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Information Systems Management, to present the welcome address.
Thank you, Preeti. Good day to one and all present here for the 5th day International Faculty Development Program on Leadership Excellence, organized by Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Information Systems Management in collaboration with Guru Coaching and Consulting LLC, Doha, Qatar. On behalf of the management, principal, staff, and students of Justice Bashir Ahmed Said College for Women, Chennai, I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to everyone present here virtually for the 5th day technical session on leadership excellence in higher education, past, present, and future. I take pleasure in welcoming a chief speaker for the day, Dr. Kalindi Kali, who is a leadership coach and OD consultant from Pune, India. Dr. Kalindi is marked with almost 3 decades of experience in multiple industries like logistics, tourism, specialized events, PR and media relations, finance sector, education, engineering, and construction. She did her master's degree in Indology and holds a PhD in strategies for OD interventions from Pune University. She has also authored a book titled The Turning Point: Strategies to Catalyze Your Organization Transformation with Internal Marketing. She has published papers and case studies in national journals. Throughout her tenure, she has had the exposure to manage projects and events of international nature in science and technology from concept to delivery. While she has handled large teams, she also has generous exposure to marketing research, advertising, and media relations. Her success with sales and sales team management comes from intense behavior and attitude management of the team. Dr. Kalindi transitioned from marketing to human resource with a passion for people development in 2007 with an objective to help organizations transform through enhancing productivity of employees. Behavior modifications for efficiency building through internal marketing is her forte. She endorses bringing in commercial sense to the HR function. The architecture model designed by Dr. Kalindi is a landmark tool to bring about an organization wide change with a focus on hard realities and practical applications aimed at making a giant leap in performance. The methodology combined with internal marketing is a proven common sense approach that energizes people at every level of the organization throughout more effectiveness. Speaker and panelist on multiple forums, Dr. Kalindi has attempted to bridge the gap between the industry and academia by participating in industry discussions, addressing faculty, and conducting workshops for engineering students to make them industry ready. Dr. Kalindi is a certified transformation coach, NLP practitioner, lead auditor, and the list goes on. She believes that the industry best practice may or may not have the same or expected impact in every organization because every organization is unique in its DNA. If only they could architect the change, they would yield faster, quicker, and with deep impact. I once again welcome Dr. Kalindi Kali for her acceptance to be the guest speaker for today's session. I also extend a warm welcome to all the participants to the 5th day of the International Faculty Development Program. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukanya. We are now continuing our program to the next agenda, that is to hear from the keynote speaker, Dr. Kalindi Kale. Ma'am, please.
Thank you very much. I would like to share my slide presentation. So if we can take the banner, that would be great. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And a warm welcome to all. This is 5th day in a row and everybody is right there, dot on time. So, which is a wonderful thing to have. Bless the technology. I hope my slide presentation is visible. Let me just start up. Right. So, hello all. I too would like to start off with a shloka. This shloka is wrongly considered to be Shanti mantra, which it is not. This is a shloka from Upanishad, and it really talks about the beautiful relationship that a guru and shishya should have. This particular mantra, though it is remembered as Shanti mantra, it is something which is an invocation for profoundness of knowledge between guru and shishya. It has got so much humility in it. Even the guru is so humility, with utter humility, he's saying that let us partner together to create more knowledge. Let us do something which will create greater good for the world. So here is one which you will know that very common. We have heard this. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. I'll let you in with the meaning of this. Om Sahana Avdu. These words mean, may God protect us both. And here what is implied is us as in the teacher and the student. It is not about a prayer or something. It is about the relationship between a teacher and a student. We're talking about creating leaders. We're talking about quality education. We're talking about creating people who can take this world forward. And it is a job which is done together. And for that job, for that cause, may God protect us both, the teacher and student. Sahano Bhunaktu. Sahano Bhunaktu is, may God nourish us both. When we are talking about nourishment, we are talking about nourishment by way of intelligence, by way of genius, by way of creativity, by way of innovation, by way of analytical ability, and by way of wisdom. Only knowledge is not enough. There has to be wisdom also. So may God nourish us both. Sahaviryam Karvavahe. This means that may we work with energy and vigor towards achieving something, towards the conquest. These conquests are intellectual conquests. We are not talking about conquering land. We're talking about conquering knowledge, knowing more. So may we as in the student and the teacher, together, may we create new knowledge. May we work together towards it. I mean, it's finally the students who are going to take everything forward, right? Tejas Vinavadhitamastu. May our study be enlightened. May it enlighten the world. And Ma Vidvishavahi. Ma Vidvisha is in this journey. Let me not feel jealousy. Let me not feel envy. If my student surpasses me, let me not be jealous of him. Let me not have ill feelings. Let me not have destructive thoughts in my mind. That is the profoundness of this verse from Upanishad. Om Sahanavavtu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. And this is the way we want our education system to move forward, creating wealth of knowledge, creating intellectual property for the entire world, where the world will flourish with the knowledge that we create. Having said that, let me just take a quick poll from you, quick answer from you. What are the key components of higher education? I'm really breaking down the title of today's talk into parts. I'm looking at leadership excellence and I'm looking at higher education. So what are the key components, key ingredients of higher education?
Participants, you can type into the chat box.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, yes, you can type that in chat box.
Can anybody help me with what is written in the chat?
Yes, ma'am. There are a few answers. The answers are quality education, practical oriented, mode of delivery, self-learning, continuous knowledge seeker, career enhancement, knowledge centric, decision making, and it goes on like that. Innovative ideas, outcome based education.
Quality. Yes, yes, yes. Lovely, beautiful. Let me give you my version of what are the key ingredients of higher education, because higher education doesn't happen in isolation. There is a whole environment to it. And what we are going to touch upon is the entire environment which nurtures leadership excellence. It cannot be done by one person. It is not a quest of one person. It is the entire system has to come together and work towards creating leaders. So when we are talking about higher education, I see it, the core purpose of higher education is learning, knowledge. At the foot of it is, of course, an institution, a carrier, which will contain the knowledge and deliver it. Academics, the content of what you are teaching, it's not just about the teachers, right? It's about the academics also. We talk about academics not being in tune with the current requirements of, I mean, I've conducted a couple of workshops where there were teachers in front of me who were saying, what does the industry want? Particularly in the field of engineering, you see that, we are teaching students something which they are not going to use ever because the technology is evolving. So we have to prepare them for something which isn't in existence today. However, academics, the content of what we are teaching them, that is one of the pillars. The second is the environment that really helps to bring all that to bridge between the teachers and the students. Of course, there are students, but students is something which come and go in the institution. The systems remain, the academics remain, and the teachers. The teachers remain. The teachers, the academics, and systems are something which is under our control, something we can do about. And that is how students become the fourth pillar, which slowly nurtures and develops. And that is what really supports the entire learning. So when I'm looking at leadership excellence, I'm looking at institutions, I'm looking at learning is the core. Learning is developing of knowledge. First stage is knowing what is, and then creating what we see around us and actually being there. Now, this whole institution thing, institution, teachers, academic system, and the roof is learning, etc., etc., this would go haywire if it doesn't have a fantastic founding of purpose. Ever in your life, unless there is a sense of purpose, unless there is a larger goal, you don't seem so driven. There has to be a larger goal. As an individual, we need a larger goal. Similarly, as institutions, we need larger goal. What is going to be our larger goal?
Ma'am, excuse me. Sorry for interrupting.
Yes, please.
We would like you to be a little loud because we're getting comments in the chat box that it is not audible.
Not audible? Okay, let me try and do something about it. Else what I can do is I can simply grab my headphones. Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Does this sound better? So just give me a heads up if it is not sounding better already. I'll try to speak a little louder.
Okay, thank you.
Right. But now when we are talking about these pillars of education, yeah, this is something which we have. These are our universities, these are our colleges. However, this is something which has happened. The dynamics of the environment, it has happened. People are having knowledge or information on their palm tops, on their laptops, on their desktops. Almost all the families are having computers at home. People are using smartphones. People are using iPods. People are using iPads. And they're having all the information right on their fingertips. This is something which has happened. It's already happened. You can do nothing about it. Right? Now, what has therefore happened is children are already aware, or if they want to, they can simply go Google things and find out stuff about what is happening around, what is their curriculum. I've seen so many people actually doing some extra studies. Even we as professionals, we can't go for trainings or we can't conduct trainings on each and every subject. What we have to do is we have to Google. We have to search on the internet and we find answers for all these on the internet. So information has become very, very accessible to people. So that is a fact. Now, having said that, tell me one thing, why does a student come to institution? You could write that in your chat box. In the meanwhile, I can simply have a small sip of water so that I can be a little louder. Why does a student come to an institution? What is the magnet that will bring
answers that are coming up to learn, to get knowledge, environment, to get a degree, placement, social interaction, gain knowledge, good class, to get coaching, and most repeated answers are to acquire knowledge,
to acquire knowledge and learn.
Nation, yeah, learn and mingle with peers.
So yeah, to get a job, that happens incidentally. I do agree with that also. Job orientation has to be there, of course. To get a job, career, agreed. But the most common answer seems to be for learning. Now let us understand, how does this learning happen? I would like to dip into a little bit of our past, a little bit of our heritage and the literature which is available. And this is how it is described. This is how the dissemination or internalization of knowledge happens. people first listen, students first listen, that is Shravana, listening. Then people recall, they retain, which is Smarana, right? The third stage is Bodh. I may read the words, but I need to read the words and remember the words the way they are presented to me. That is first. Then I have to apply my mind and understand what am I reading, the meaning of it. Then what happens? Then I think. I think about what I just read and how does it resonate with me? Does it make any sense or not? So what is happening is I start using my cognitive skills. The cognitive skills, of course, recalling is also cognitive skill. So recalling, understanding, and then reflecting upon it and forming your own opinion. That is manana or reflection. Once that reflection happens, of course, there are doubts. I need to realize what is the true meaning behind it. I may have understood it in a certain way, but am I understanding it in the right way or not? That is something which I have to be aware of. And then there is practice, abhyas. Once you do abhyas, then you achieve mastery, which is sadhana. And then comes your internalization. Now, if we very, very critically look at these stages of learning, Shravana is the basic listening and knowing, which is like, what you hear or what you read. Smarana is receiving the information. Reading is different. I mean, you read the words and the words will evaporate from your mind. That is not reading. You have to receive them, retain them, and recall them. That is Smarana. Then in both and understanding, it is verification of fact and something which intuitively the child feels. Intuitively, okay, a reference to context, I kind of got it. Okay. Then is mulling over it, and then there are doubts, and the child needs someone to clarify the doubts. Yeah, ratifying the understanding. Then comes your sakshatkar, the correctness of understanding. There is a back and forth, a discussion, correctness of understanding, and then the child also. We talked about career, right? We talked about getting a job. We talked about growing and making money in life, and for that I need to know the application of my knowledge. So the realization is also about how can I apply the knowledge. Now I've theoretically understood what is application of knowledge. I go on gathering the experience as a trial and error. I'm experiencing and experimenting the correctness of knowledge. Once I'm convinced, okay, this is the right knowledge which I'm doing, then what I do is I practice it over and over, and then achieve a command over what I do. Once I do that, what happens is it's like an unconscious competence. Like you're driving a car for the nth time. You're chatting to the person who's sitting next to you. You are changing the gears without even you knowing. You are pushing the pedals. It becomes like you're a part of your DNA. Why I'm getting so much into elaborate of all this is because this part, Shravana, Smarana, Bodh, and a part of Manan. So listen, recall, understanding, a part of reflection. All this is available to the student then and there. It's available on his fingertips. In old days, in the ancient days, people used to come to listen to the Guru also. But here, listen to the Guru. Why? Because knowledge was not available like it is available now on the tip of the fingers. That's why they had to go to the Guru and then listen to the Guru. Here, that particular aspect has got eliminated altogether, right? So when we are talking about leadership excellence, what has now happened, therefore, is only the Shravana, Smarana and Bodh is entirely up to this child, right? This is nothing you can do about it. This is entirely oriented to the student. Only for Shravana, child is not going to come to college, right? Our literature, our classics, our knowledge, ancient knowledge talks to us about different category of teachers. Who's an adhyapak? An adhyapak is a person who teaches and gives you information, just the information part, Shravan part. Okay. Then there is Upadhyay. Upadhyay clubs the information with knowledge. Okay. From Upadhyay, the next is Acharya. Acharya is the one who imparts skills. Okay, makes it applicable. And then comes the role of Pandit. Pandit is able to give deep insight into the subject, really go to the core of it, the why of it, from where it started. It's not just the superficial knowledge, it is the in-depth knowledge. And then is the role of a drashta. A drashta is a visionary. Understanding the DNA or the content or the concept itself to the core is something which people from Adhyapak, Upadhyay, Acharya and Pandit can do, but a drashta will give you vision. A drashta gives you what can happen or what is the, how far it can go. Guru is the person who is inspiration. Now, if you look at the diagram which we saw on the earlier slide, Shravana and listen is something which Adhyapak does. Smaran and Bodh is not at all in our hands, understanding and recall. As far as reflection is concerned, we need someone to be as capable as a Upadhyay. For Sakshatkar, realization, we need Upadhyay plus Acharya plus Pandit. For Abhyas, we need Pandit and Drashta. We need the child to have deeper insight as well as a long-term vision. Abhyas and practice, the practice part of it, child starts doing it after the child has graduated. And we are talking about what is going to be our role even when the child starts applying the knowledge. And then comes the mastery. When the mastery is there, here you want a person who's a great visionary and a great inspiration to play a role in the child's life. And then, of course, when there is internalization, when the thing becomes a part of his DNA, we want only inspiration, 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 because at that time, the child has reached such a stage that the child can create knowledge. Now, this is the journey that we are looking for. And again, going back to what we said, a part of it is readily available on the tip of the finger to the child. And now, when we are talking about leadership excellence, when we are talking about excellence, what we are looking at is our role has to be Upadhyay, Acharya, Pandit, Drashta, Guru. That is what we are talking about when we are talking about excellence. Now, having said that,
Kalindi ma'am, just a minute. I will have to interrupt you. Ma'am, a lot of people in the chat box, they seem to say that the volume or voice is very low. Can you please try increasing it a little? Nirmala, is there anything that can be made to increase it also, please?
Well,
Kalindi, I think I'll wear my headphones. I think that will be better. Yes, just give me a minute. I'll just stop my video, grab my headphones, and I'll be with you in a short minute.
Great, Kalindi. Thank you.
Okay, is this audible now? Just give me a okay or whatever. Is this better now?
Yes, ma'am. We are receiving comments as it is audible.
It is audible now? Fantastic.
Yeah, that's how we are receiving comments in the chat box.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for that, and sorry for the inconvenience, all of you. So we are at the point when we were talking about leadership excellence, and we were talking about teachers. Why teachers? Because teachers are there in the institution. Students come and go, teachers are there. So we are talking about leadership excellence in teachers. So here, let me just show you some pictures. Yeah. What is common about them? There is something which is common. What are those common traits? While you put it in the chat box, obviously the first picture is of Arya Chanakya. The second one is Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was the first vice president and the second president of India. Abdul Kalam Saab, of course, a great scientist, the one who was the architect of PSLV, the backbone, I mean, the visionary in ISRO, President of India, inspiration. We have B.K. Iyengar. B.K. Iyengar was a yoga guru, of course. He passed away. But you'll not believe that B.K. Iyengar basically, what he didn't have when he was a child. He had flu, he had malaria, he had tuberculosis, he even had typhoid, and he was a very, very anemic boy. And he went on to become world guru of yoga. And then, of course, we have Albert Einstein. We also have Helen Keller. We have Aristotle. We've got Plato.
So most of them have commented saying great teachers in their own fields, good motivators, inspiring teachers. The most repeated comment that has come is inspiring teachers.
Inspiring teachers, right. Inspiring, but what led them to become inspiring? What led them to become inspiring? They were great teachers, yes, without any doubt. That's why they are on the slide today. But what made them great? What is common factor?
Leadership qualities, knowledge.
Excellence.
No,
what they did it with excellence.
Okay.
To the T, utmost. Amazing excellence. They were the ones who were constantly evolving. Their knowledge was not stagnant. They looked at things which can happen. They looked at possibilities and they tried to embrace the possibilities and give it all their intellectual capability, all their emotional capability. Very committed, very dedicated. They themselves were constantly evolving. We have to acknowledge that personally, they had huge accomplishments. The other lady, which was right next to, this is Anna Sullivan. Let me just take you back to this. Anna Sullivan, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Anna Sullivan was the teacher and the mentor and who stayed with Helen Keller till she died. She was the one who made Helen Keller who she was. Amazing teacher, dedication, and making a person who did not have so many disabilities to learn. They were constantly evolving. They themselves had accomplishments. They had something where, they could role model. If you are not a role model, a person who has not achieved much in life probably will not be able to play the role of a role model. I mean, the children, the youngsters are looking at role models. Are we the role models? And we can become role models only and only when we ourselves are accomplished. We ourselves have brought something to the world. Contribution of knowledge. Look at each and every person. Chanakya, we talk about economics. We talk about politics. Look at Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. What he has done in engineering. His birthday is treated as Teachers' Day here in India. So that is the level of accomplishments. I don't have to say anything about Abdul Kalam Saab. I mean, marvel of a person. I'm so glad that I could meet him twice while he was, once he was a president, once he wasn't. But yeah, I could meet him twice. So that's like a day I will never forget in my life. And then B.K. Iyengar, they have contributed to knowledge. They have contributed to knowledge. You have to remember that. And they have created prodigies. On the earlier slide, you saw the bust of Aristotle, but Aristotle was the disciple of Plato. Plato created Aristotle. Plato facilitated Aristotle to become who he was. Aristotle himself had a lineage. Similarly, if you talk about each and every person, like Chanakya had Chandragupta Maurya. In fact, the entire Maurya dynasty was looking at the economics and politics, which was taught by Chanakya for like how many? 300 or 400 years? He was significant for 300 or 400 years. He's significant even now. Yeah, Abdul Kalam Saab. He had so many proteges in ISRO. Yeah, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. He had followers. He had students. So B.K. Iyengar, and this is like, just an example. These are a few examples. I mean, there are so many. We can just keep on talking about fantastic teachers and 45 minutes will just go past just like that. Common among them is they themselves had excellence. They were constantly evolving. They were accomplished themselves. And therefore, they became role models. They became people who students can look up to. They contributed to knowledge and they created prodigies. They did not hold back. They created prodigies. So when we saw, when we talked about the shloka, Upanishad shloka in the beginning, that's what. Good teachers would want their students to surpass them. That gives them joy. Okay. Now, I did listen to the sessions on YouTube, which happened yesterday and day before, and particularly about Divya Jiva syndrome. And there were a few comments. So I'm just reflecting upon those comments that, it is not easy to get promotion, or it is not easy to get such and such position. But what I want to say is leadership is not about position. Leadership is not about designation. That is not what leadership is. There is no leader without any follower. There is no leader without any follower. If you don't have anyone to follow you, you may have the most fantastic designation in the hierarchy of your college or of your corporate or wherever. But if there is no one following you, the designation becomes immaterial, irrelevant. So there is no leader without follower. And are we having followers? So my next question to you is, how many followers do you have? How many students remember you as my mentor? I do remember, I was touch wood, by God's grace, I've had fantastic mentors in my life. I will be grateful to them forever. But let me also tell you that there are so many teachers who probably have taught me only a subject but not added anything, any value to my life. A lot of time it becomes very difficult for me even to recall their names. So how many followers do you have? This is a question to introspect. Therefore, now if we want to become leaders, we need to have competencies, right? Now, clearly by definition, what does competency mean? Competency is the ability to do something, right? Ability to be a leader, ability to be a role model, ability to be a fantastic, amazing guru, a fantastic, amazing drashta. Yeah, ability to do that. Now, in order to do that, we need certain competencies. Competencies is, of course, a combination of knowledge, skill, attitudes, and also your habits. Habits remain abstract somewhere in the background, primarily about knowledge, skill, and attitude. All these four things put together means competencies. If that is the definition of competencies, one question which I would like to ask you, and I would like to request you to put it in the chat box: what are the essential competencies for a teacher to achieve leadership excellence?
So we've received answers like honesty, subject clarity, good communication, self-discipline, positive attitude, knowledge and ethics, expertise, patience,
Okay,
honesty, learning, empathy, and all that.
okay, okay. Yes, definitely. I've got my own version of what competencies will make a teacher a fantastic drashta, a fantastic guru. Achieve leadership excellence. According to me, the top competencies, of course, I mean, you may agree with me. Some of you may have a different point of view, but I would like to go a little more deep about being a teacher. According to me, being a teacher is an amazing role to have in life. If you're not teaching, if you're not passing on, you need not have a label as a teacher, but you need to be able to give something to people as a knowledge, maybe for their survival, maybe as a small skill. So, being a good teacher for me, the first competency is passion for knowledge. If you yourself, if I myself do not have passion for knowledge, there are so many things that will happen if I don't have passion. If I don't have passion for knowledge, then every training program that probably I'm made to attend will become like a drudgery. I will not voluntarily for any training program if there is an option. I may not seek what other knowledge I need to have. Constant learning is fine, but you need to love learning. There has to be passion for knowledge. When there is passion for knowledge, also you need to sharpen your brain, learning ability, the cognitive skills. A lot of times, I've seen so many people saying that even in corporate, I've come across people who are like uh, 15 years, 16 years, 20 years into the corporate, and they've not attended any class even once after they have graduated. Once they got into the job, they've just forgotten to attend the class. And what happens is their learning ability gets dampened. They can't receive information. We talked about the first two parts, right? They can't receive information, they can't retain information, they can't recall information, they can't analyze information quickly. It takes them a long time to, achieve some extra skill, learning ability. But today, if the learning ability is low, learning ability is a matter of habit, according to. Yeah. Once you have that passion for knowledge, what happens is you go extra mile and you increase your learning ability. At first, it may be difficult, but subsequently, as you keep on doing one certification after another, you keep on learning one thing after another, and what happens is your skill, your axe gets sharpened. So, passion for knowledge and learning ability are the first two. There needs to be a lot of self-discipline, because I know that teaching faculty, they have a lot of pressure of covering the portions, of covering the activities which are aligned with the teaching. There are administrative part of it also. And then a lot of times, even in corporate people work for 10 hours, 12 hours, and they don't even have vacations, right? They may not have papers to check, but they don't have vacations either. So they find it very difficult. They say, I can't find time to really, grow myself as a professional. And that takes a lot of discipline. That takes a lot of discipline. So self-discipline. Secondly, make yourself accountable to yourself first. I must do it. I must nurture and care for and kid glove my passion for knowledge. I need to learn. I need to be updated. I've seen so many professors. I'm not talking about any one in particular, but there are a few who have come across who probably keep on teaching the same portion over and over to each student, each batch of students, over and over for so many years. They've not gone beyond the textbook. Now, am I accountable to give my students new knowledge, current knowledge? And for that, am I accountable to myself to have that knowledge first? So accountability, a lot of accountability, more self-accountability than anything else. And then authenticity, walk the talk, very important. Then comes your achievement orientation. Like I said, if you have to be a role model, it is important that you achieve something yourself so that people can consider you as a role model. I do have a few people who have come across, they are extremely flamboyant teachers, and they can influence children a lot by their charisma. But a person who will last longer and will keep on inspiring the child is the kind of achievement that that person has achieved for himself, arrived for himself. And for that, it takes a little bit of risk taking and experimentation. I do understand that changing the academics, changing the curriculum, it's not all that flexible. It takes time, and there are a lot of rigidities around it. I let me not dwell upon that a bit, but is there a little bit of risk taking? Are we willing to go a little out of the way to accommodate the current things in what we teach? It is not a restriction that if um, the academics or the prescribed curriculum says something that does not have, it's not a rule that you can't go beyond that. Can I give something extra? Risk taking is also about risk taking on children to be able to understand who they are as persons. These days we say, the classes are so full. We don't have time to really connect with people. It is very important to connect with people and understand children as adults, young adults, with a lot of potential. And then when you find such people, are we willing to take a little bit of risk on them? Are we willing to experiment with them a bit? Are we willing to experiment even with the knowledge part of it? Are we into a lot of research orientation on it? How much research do we do as teachers? How much do we involve our students into research? Because research is what? Research is creation of new knowledge, right? Connecting the dots. And then tolerance, because they are young adults, nurturing them. Like I said, identifying talent and kid loving them, helping them grow. And 10th is influencing. Influencing is different than nurturing. Nurturing is really taking care of them, kid gloving them. And influencing is persuading them, shoving them a little bit, nudging them a little bit. Now, if you look closely, from 1 to 7, The first 7 competencies are something which are about yourself. 8, 9, and 10 are more about your orientation to the students. But 1 to 7 are more about you yourself. And then, of course, there are a lot of things. I recently came to know that Ministry of Human Resources has announced a program called as LEAP. And this LEAP program is specifically created, crafted for the faculty, the college faculty, so that they are able to bring that excellence in themselves. A lot of things which have been said in the chat box, that is the content of this particular program. Maybe what I can do is I can share the brochure of this program with you. But if you can take advantage of that, that's a very good start which you can have. So, having said that, let me ask questions, and you can answer whichever questions you would like to answer. Um, but how much time do you invest in learning something in yourself? How much time do you invest in yourself? Okay. What new skills have you acquired of late? I'm saying, apart from the trainings which were mandatory, okay, what new skills have you acquired of late? What has been your greatest achievement so far? And when was it? Is it a recent achievement? Is it something which was 10 years back? Was it something 5 years back? How many students have you taught and turned around? Turned around as in made them better people, made them better citizens, made them better students. How many of your students you recall have become significant contributors to the society? Is the contribution of students to the society by accident, by default, or is it something where you have had a hand in it? And what is your contribution to pool of knowledge after the doctoral study?
There are some answers, ma'am.
Yeah.
One person says he takes 30 minutes to learn something new.
Beautiful.
And there's another person who says learning takes place whole life. So we are trying to acquire new knowledge in our area.
That's wonderful. That's
And,
really wonderful.
Yeah, those are the two answers that have come up so far.
Okay, so people are thinking about it, I guess. Okay, so yeah, these are the questions where you need not answer me, or you're not answerable to anyone. It's just introspection about what we are doing. And by doing simply these things, are you molding yourself to become that leadership excellence? Bring that leadership excellence in yourself. Because if you have leadership excellence, only then you can transfer it to someone. You can't give to people what you don't have. You can give to people only what if you have knowledge, you can give knowledge. If you have love, you can give love. If you have excellence, you can give excellence. If you have leadership, you can give leadership. But if you don't have it in you, how you can't give? What will you give? So this is something more about introspection that we need to do. However, there are certain tools, okay, which we can use. We talked about the young adults who are growing up really very fast, really very fast. They are having the knowledge way ahead of time. So there are different ways of dealing with it, and this is something which is a takeaway from the corporate, where there is a problem, or I would call it the current situation. Okay, the problem or the current situation, and then there is a desired state. Okay, so there is a journey from current situation towards a desired state, and there is methodology. Either you ask a lot of questions or you directly tell them. So based on these, there are certain tools which the faculty can exercise, and this is something which you really can master. What tools you can exercise? For example, if it is something deep rooted, you need to do root cause analysis and go to the depth of everything. You can ask a lot of questions which are pointed towards the problem. This is something which is called as counseling. Here we are essentially talking about dealing person to person. Okay, person to person. Now, a lot of times what happens is a lot of variables are there, and students can't see through those variables very clearly. So probably we can sit and identify those variables for them, and then we can ask them, okay, this seemed to be the variable, what do you think should be the answer? Okay, so that is something which is called as consulting. Now, third thing which we are very conversant with is something which is completely totally new knowledge for the children. We have to directly tell them the mentoring and teaching part, which we have been doing all along. And then the last part, which is very important, and which is, the way the young generation is maturing, faster, the way they are becoming knowledgeable faster, it is important that we acknowledge that they have huge potential in themselves. And probably what you need to do is we need to ask them a lot of questions towards the desired solution or the desired knowledge, and check and see what they already know and help them discover more answers. And wherever we find that, okay, this is something which I need to impart to them as new knowledge, use teaching. If you feel that, okay, a lot of variables, the child is confused, use consulting. If the child is, the emotional intelligence we talk about, counseling is all about emotional intelligence. So you can use multiple tools to really talk to the child and nurture and create leaders out of students. In olden times, it was teaching, 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 mentoring, teaching, that telling the solution or telling the new knowledge to the child directly. Now we have to use multiple tools. And there are a lot of courses which are available on these tools. So you can really, this is one of the skill area which probably can be acquired. Anyway, so much so about the faculty. I want to kind of shift the gear now towards the end of this session. um, I would like to say and acknowledge, I really hope that there are departmental heads, deans, representatives of the chancellors. If there are colleges, then maybe, representatives of the directors of the colleges, maybe representatives of the vice chancellors of certain universities, departmental heads, all these people are there. I would really like to talk to them and about this academic system and the institution and purpose per se. Because nothing grows in vacuum. Nothing grows in vacuum. Nothing grows in a desert. You need to have an environment which is nurturing, even for the faculty to be able to excel in their skill, in their art. Teaching is an art, yeah, and it's an art which gives phenomenal joy. But in order for them to become, one with their teaching, or be able to communicate with the students so much, the environment has to be really very conducive. So we need to look at academics and system also, an entire institution per se, and the deep sense of purpose. A lot of times I've realized that even in corporate, I'm not saying this about educational institutes. When I'm saying institutes, I'm talking about institutes from corporate as well as every other aspect of life, walk of life. They have this values, vision, and mission, and everything is put on the website. And they've got pamphlets and posters and brochures talking about it. Are we living those values? Are we living that vision? Are that those values and vision leading us to a purposeful existence? And okay, on one side, the institution has to become economically viable. So economic objective is also okay. It's also fair. If I have to look at it from a very, very corporate angle, I would say, okay, your students are your customers, right? So customer satisfaction or customer delight is something which we can look at. But if we take a real larger view, the bigger bird's eye view of what it can do to the world, if we look at that, is there a larger purpose that is driving us? Do we have objectives like, so a lot of institutions, generally what happens is a few students, by their own virtue, by their own merit, they outshine and they become some very prominent people in the world, in the country. And then people dig their past and see which college and which school they attended, and then they say that, hey, so and so is our alumni. Now this is something which happens by default. Is the institution setting an objective or a goal of saying that, hey, every year I would have so many proteges from my college? Yeah. So are we having these kind of objectives? Are we identifying talent and are we nurturing them? So maybe this is something which on an institutional level we need to be very mindful about. Coming to academics, is the academics current and relevant? I'm not just talking about the content, I'm talking about the methodology of delivery also. Is it current and relevant? Is it flexible? Flexible in the sense, okay, I know there are a lot of institutions, we are deemed universities or autonomous colleges. They do have a lot of flexibility. So are we exercising that flexibility to the best interest, to creating the knowledge? Are we knowledge based? Or is it just the rote learning that we are following? Is it demand driven? When we are saying demand driven, we are talking about demand of the world. We are talking about demand of the future. We are not talking about demand, which is a little superficial. We are going a little deeper when we are saying demand. What is the demand of the time? That is what we are talking about. Can academics be revolving around reflection, realization, and practice? That is something which probably academics has to think about. If it is only about whether the portion is completed or not, that's a different story. We're talking only about the Shravana part, not the reflection part at all. How much is the focus on Sanshodhana, creation of new knowledge? If academics pays attention, maybe incorporate or embraces these factors, that will help to create a conducive environment for the faculty to really do what they can do, what their real ability is. And then comes the systems part. Are the systems more of a facilitation than rather than hurdles? Are they too rigid? Are they something which will enable? Are they the enablers? Is the system driven to identify and nurture talent? Because a professor may, a teacher may, a guru may, but is the system supporting it? Are we only being compliant to the norms which are given, or we are being proactive? We are forward looking. The systems have to be forward looking because systems are the enablers, right? Use the technology as basic knowing. Can we do it as a system? We know that people are going to use internet, people are going to use. So why not embrace the technology and be done with the knowing part on technology and move on with the manan, the internal reflection and internalization part? Can we do that? Can we twist the entire way of teaching from that perspective? Can we enable students to be teachers? Because the moment one person becomes teacher, what happens is the teacher feels obligated to give the right knowledge. And I've seen that, we have this student teacher in so many foreign universities. We have this, can we have this? Can we embrace? Because once a student has to become a teacher, automatically he's going to polish the knowledge. Can there be a focus on group work? Can there be a focus on pre-work? Pre-work is they study the material themselves first and then come to a class with questions. So what happens in the class is more of reflection. Can we do it as a part of system itself? And then can the entire performance monitoring be on the basis of reflection, realization, and practice? Can we have, every college has their alumni, but alumni, I've seen that in many colleges, it only boils down to having names, numbers of students who are past students of the, and they are only invited when probably there are a couple of lectures to be given or there is a get together. Can we have that mastery and internalization process of follow through with the students? I know with all students it's not possible, but if we have identified some students as a prodigy, we have identified some students as a talent, maybe at least with those, can we have a system driven follow through of fantastic children? Yeah. So that is what I feel the whole system is, system, academia, faculty, self-learning faculty. This is something which is going to lead to really that, higher education, leadership excellence in higher education. Those were my thoughts, and you can be connected with me. I've given my email ID as well as my website, and we are open for question and answers now.
Thank you, Dr. Kalanidhi, for highlighting some of the key components of higher education and listing all the competencies of a good teacher. The presentation was exhaustive indeed. So we will go ahead and take some of the questions for now. So we have made a note of the questions that came in the chat box as well as some of the questions that came in the YouTube channel. So maybe I'll start with asking the question of one Miss Etifa from Ethiopia. She was asking you about the 10 points that you had shared. Which of the 10 points should be given the first priority?
Let's go back to the 10 points. I think there is no priority per se. It's more like everything is interlinked. Let's have a look at those 10 points once again. Um, Self-discipline, learnability, and passion for knowledge is interlinked. You may have great passion for knowledge, but you have to sharpen your ability and you also have to make time. You have to complete what you have started, even if it is about self-learning. You have to complete what you have started very, very successfully. And that calls for accountability because a lot of times we start off with certain course and we just leave it halfway. Authenticity is about first being true to yourself. So if we've promised ourselves that in a year, I want to do at least a couple of certifications to enhance my skills as a teacher or to enhance my knowledge, to make myself relevant and current, being committed to it and pulling it through actually takes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 competencies itself. There is no number one, number two, no ranking. It's all there.
So, so can I ask the next question, Gayatri ma'am?
Sure.
Now, this is from the YouTube channel where one Mr. Arun asks, without affecting the academic work or family work, how to be a successful teacher?
The one thing which has worked with me, I was a visiting faculty for management. I've done that, and I do have a bunch of students. I do it even now. I go to my Pune University Management College and I do teach a couple of subjects. I'll tell you what has worked for me. I make students do pre-work. So what I do is I announce beforehand what I'm going to be talking about. I don't say I'm going to teach because they are young adults. They are in their early 20s. Some of them have got a couple of years experience, etc. So what I tell them is I announce what is going to be the next lecture, and I tell them that it is available on this. I just don't give them one book to read. Probably I divide the work. Um, I divide the main topic into subtopics, and then I kind of make small groups, and I tell them you have to teach your batchmates. The responsibility that they understand is yours. And then what I do is more of manan, doubts. It's more of a discussion. And trust me, students love it. They love it.
Okay, thank you for that. And there's one from Dr. Rupali Patil. She's asking if classroom teaching cannot be replaced by digital platforms, and your take on it.
Uh, Classroom teaching, if you're talking about, it's already been replaced. Let's face it. It's not in this lockdown period. Lockdown period has only accelerated. But if classroom teaching can it be substituted by online? I guess most of the students. Let's look at the empty classrooms. That answers sometimes. So we have to say people have information on their fingertips, and children do read books, and see they have to prepare for examination also, right? They have to give exam, so they will be reading the books anyway, and they will pass the exam even if they go through the books themselves. So I think we have to it's our mindset where we feel that we have to go and give them new knowledge. It's already accessible. Some students are lazy, they don't reach it. Okay, it is more of the intent of the students. Some students are lazy, so they don't open the books, but those lazy students will not come to the class also. But some students are very proactive. They do the reading by themselves and they understand very well. Can we take it one notch up? Can we assume that classroom teaching has already been replaced, and my job is to help the child to understand the concept really very well, to understand how I can bring this in practice, to help them master it and to excel in it.
There's another similar question by Dr. T. Rani. She asks, students virtually live online nowadays, and how is
Yes.
reflection, realization even possible? How to bring in that tilt in them?
Let me tell you that it's not all that bad. In corporate, we do work with youngsters, and they are very ambitious and they are hungry for knowledge. And some of them are brilliant minds. And because they are brilliant, they are. We say that they are distracted, right? They are not distracted. It's just like they want to do too many things in a very short time. So I don't see that there is a problem with students. It's that connecting link, which probably needs a little bit of strengthening. Does that answer the question, or is there a sub part to it? Any counter question?
You did answer. That's the question also. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe one last question we can take up because we're running short of time. There's one from Dr. Afia. She's asking if a student is very outstanding academically, what percentage of credit goes to the teacher and to the student?
Why do you want credit?
No, that's what she's asked.
Important. Why is it? It's not important. It's not important according to me. The child is fantastic, amazing, wish the child is success. Your job is to nurture excellence. There is, why should anyone take credit for it? And if there is a credit to be given, then it is the parents, it is the genes which the child has, it is the efforts that the child has taken. Of course, there is teachers and everybody else who's also involved in creating the right atmosphere around that child. Why talk about credit? Let the child be successful. Enjoy the successful, enjoy the brilliance.
There's another question by Dr. Narayanan Ramachandran. He says, we have created systems and sometimes we are unable to follow the system itself that has been created by us.
Yeah.
And what should we do about this? Our systems are pulling us down.
Yeah. So answering that question blindly would not be fair, because I really don't know what specifically sir is referring to. So maybe I've given my email ID. So we can really talk one-on-one on this issue. You know, which system is seeming to be a hurdle. Of course, systems do have to be modified a bit, and but let's, okay, systems sometimes they do become hurdles. True. But what can we do about it? It's sometimes, you know, we have to think, okay, this is the reality, this is the status quo. How can we live with it? Like we are learning to live with COVID, right? We are learning to live with COVID-19. It is there. It has caused inefficiencies, and we've just learned to live with it. So, I mean, what best answer can I give for this? However, yes, some systems do need to undergo a lot of modification. And if anybody is wanting transformation in institutions, do reach out, and of course, I'll leave it on my email. Yeah.
Yeah, there's another question from Jansi Rani. She says, maybe in the rural areas we have very bright children, but how do we handle students from the rural areas? I'm sorry, I said rural. She says, how to handle students from the rural areas? Maybe in urban areas there are bright ones, but
yeah,
what to do with the...
Oh, please don't say that. There are brilliant children in rural areas also. And let us use technology to reach them. Let us use technology to reach them. Absolutely. Brilliant minds from rural. Talk about B.K. Iyengar or even Abdul Kalam Sahab or whoever. All these people, they've come from a very humble background. Very humble, and where, you know, things were not accessible. There are so many of them. They had to stay away from their parents at a very, very young age. I mean, we will not dare to send our children away from us at that age at all. They've lived away from their parents from that age. So there is brilliance, and technology is there to help. So use technology. That's the answer.
Wow. So, ma'am, shall
I think yes, Preeti.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for taking up all the questions so patiently and giving straight answers to everything. So, may I now invite Dr. Anis Akhtar Sultana, Associate Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Information Systems Management, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Preeti. Good evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks the 5th day of International Faculty Development Program. First of all, I thank Almighty who has ignited the thought of conducting the program and showered his blessings and grace upon us. I extend my profound thanks to Speaker of the Day, Dr. Kalindi Kale, Leadership Coach and OD Consultant, took up her valuable time to address on the topic Leadership Excellence in Higher Education, Past, Present and Future. Madam, today we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, which was very informative, inspiring and thought-provoking. And also, we are impressed with the lucid explanations about the teacher-student relationship from Upanishad and clear visual presentation, which captivated everyone. And this will surely be going to encourage us in our future endeavors. I take this opportunity to thank the management, our principal, Dr. Shahnaz Ahmed, and Vice Principal, Dr. Firdaus Jahan, for their consistent encouragement and support. I'm very grateful to thank Dr. Barakat, Head Head of the Department of Corporate Sectorship and Information Systems Management, and Dr. Gayatri, Assistant Head, Department of Corporate Sectorship and Information Systems Management, who has been a catalyst that stimulated and transformed the idea into action. And the series of this program has been successful only under their captaincy. I'm indebted to thank Ms. Nirmala Guru, Development Consultant, Guru Coaching and Consulting LLC, Doha, Qatar, who accepted to collaborate with the Department of Corporate Sectorship and Information Systems Management to host the 7 days International Faculty Development Program on Leadership Excellence. And I extend my thanks to my crew for the enormous cooperation, and we have been fortunate enough to be backed up by a team of very proactive and dedicated staff of the Department of Corporate Sectorship and Information Systems Management. Last but not least, I thank all the participants across the world who have responded and made the International Faculty Development Program a grand event. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you, madam.
Thank you, Anis ma'am. Thank you all the participants for your active participation. The feedback link is being posted in the chat box. We request you to kindly fill up the feedback form to get the e-certificate. We will meet at 5 p.m. IST tomorrow for yet another exciting session. Thank you all.
Seems to be saying he's not able to